terrorists broke into the Air Force base and shot the soldiers guarding the fighter jets. After that, the terrorists climbed onto a fighter jet, preparing to carry out a terrorist attack. To make sure they could take off smoothly, the other terrorists quickly set up a defensive line. At the same time, the special forces got the order to support the Air Force base. By this time, the fighter jet had already been filled with fuel. The terrorists quickly started the engine and sped toward the runway. At the same time, the pilot drove to the hangar, ready to fly the Su-30 to intercept. But at that moment, the terrorists caught up and the pilot had to hide behind an ammunition box. Luckily, the special forces arrived just in time. By this time, the terrorists had already headed to the runway. To stop them from taking off, the special forces brought in an armored vehicle, which blew up the terrorists' pickup truck. After chasing onto the runway, they fired a machine gun at the fighter jet. But in the end, they still couldn't stop the terrorists. The terrorists successfully stole the fighter jet and quickly flew toward the nuclear power plant. To intercept them, the pilot quickly flew the Su-30 and caught up. With its speed advantage, the Su-30 soon flew behind the Su-27, locked it on, and the pilot immediately launched an attack. Just as it was about to hit the Su-27 suddenly turned around and flew behind the Su-30. Seeing the situation was not right, the commander in the command room immediately ordered the launch of surface-to-air missiles. Soon, 2 surface-to-air missiles soared into the sky. At the same time, the Su-27 had already locked onto the Su-30 and launched 2 air-to-air missiles. The Su-30 quickly released chaff, but only one was detonated in the end. To shake off the other one, the pilot had to fly the fighter jet in a vertical dive. Just as it was about to be hit, the Su-30 suddenly pulled up vertically at 90 degrees and successfully detonated the other missile. At the same time, the surface-to-air missile finally caught up with the Su-27. But unexpectedly, the terrorists had cracked the friend or foe identification system. After catching up with the Su-27, the missile suddenly turned around and flew away. So the Su-27 decided to drop bombs over a nearby city. The arriving Su-30 had no choice but to fly directly below the Su-27 to prevent the terrorists from dropping the bombs. At the critical moment, the pilot suddenly accelerated and rushed in front of the Su-27, trying to force the terrorists to land with the exhaust from the engine. Unexpectedly, this completely enraged the terrorists. The Su-27 adjusted its angle and fired wildly at the Su-30. But just at that moment, a huge sandstorm swept in. The Su-30 took the opportunity to fly into the sandstorm to avoid the bullets. The Su-27 followed closely, but its engine couldn't hold out for long in the sandstorm. The 2 fighter jets had to make an emergency climb. Soon the Su-27's engine stalled, lost control, and began to descend. The Su-30 took the opportunity to flip over and finally succeeded in destroying the Su-27, thwarting the terrorist attack.